Welcome back to Cities on Console. Welcome if you are new. Today we will be checking out the Cities Skylines 2 Economy and Production Featured Highlights video. This is one I've really been looking forward to, as I know there's been a lot of hype around how Cities Skylines 2 is meant to take the economic simulation deeper than ever before. We've already learned a bit about that in some of the other Featured Highlights videos and dev diaries we've received, including things like transportation costs factoring into both citizens and businesses' decision making, businesses reducing workforces when budgets are tight, homeless citizens, and all that stuff. But between this video and our next dev diary deep dive, we should learn a ton more and maybe even uncover some secrets along the way. Before getting into the video, however, I want to ask you to consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and to drop a like if you end up enjoying today's video or finding it informative. And as always, please also feel free to drop a dislike if not, as any and all engagement is welcome and helps me improve the channel and make more of the content you all find helpful, entertaining, and worthwhile. But without further ado, let's get into the Cities Skylines 2 Economy and Production Featured Highlights video.
They say money makes the world go round. It's as true in Cities Skylines 2 as it is in our world. Keep your city spinning by steering its economy on a course to prosperity.
I want to go ahead and pause here to talk about what we can see in these opening shots. First, I really like the look of the entire city, but to be more specific, I really like the natural look in the transition from smaller medium density, like apartment buildings, to the high density with a few skyscrapers strewn throughout as well. It gives the city a very realistic and organic look that was very difficult to attain in Cities Skylines. Another thing worth noting, as strange as it may sound, is the look of the billboards and advertisements. They look much more realistic and reasonable with simple and clean looking logos, and you don't have those crazy spinning donuts and squirrels everywhere like in the first game, which is a much needed improvement that they are truly delivering, it looks like.
Your city's economic simulation is modeled on real-world economics. This introduces complexity and nuance to city building without making it complicated. The economic system in Cities Skylines 2 is
Here we get our first look at the budgets menu. We can see a few revenue streams here, including taxes, service fees, service trade, and government subsidies. I'm guessing service fees and trade are related to the utilities, like providing electrical services to our own citizens, as well as possibly exporting any excess power we produce. What's particularly interesting here, though, is government subsidies. This is definitely brand new in Cities Skylines 2, and I like that it's been added. It adds another realistic component and probably provides us with a way to more easily manage our finances, especially in the early game, if we're getting subsidies from the government, basically like free money, grants essentially. But anyway, thought that was worth mentioning. Definitely something new, and I think it's pretty cool.
actually engineered to help you grow your new city, and as it develops, to give you influence over the financial levers that generate wealth. You'll raise revenue.
So on the last screen, we saw that taxation was just one of a few incoming revenue streams, but here we can see the way taxes are broken down and managed. We can see a few familiar types of industry here, but there's a lot new. We can see that even food has been broken down into two categories. There's convenience food and just food. We can also manage tax rates for vehicles, electronics, etc. And if you pay attention there, it looks like there's a scroll bar right here in the middle of the screen that would indicate not even half of the options available to us are even shown on this particular screen here. In any case, I'll be really excited to get in and see just how many different categories we are working with and how changing their individual tax rates will increase or decrease demand and production in our cities.
By taxing the sale of goods and services, energy production, the extraction of raw materials, tourism, and more. You'll also tax private incomes.
And here we can see some more of those billboards I was talking about. Again, it's maybe a little bit ridiculous and a minor thing, but these are so much more reasonable to look at than anything we had in the first game. And, you know, those of you who are new probably do think it's a bit of a ridiculous thing to point out, but those of you who have played the first game, at least on console or vanilla on PC, you know what I'm talking about. You definitely know what I'm talking about. In any case, I'm super happy to see it.
as healthy economic activity will mean jobs for citizens. With money in your city's coffers, you can invest in city services and infrastructure, schools and universities, and all the other engines of urban development.
And again here, we can see this very organic looking transition from single family homes to medium density apartment buildings, and then the higher density downtown in the distance. I really like how realistic everything looks here. It's truly beautiful, from the environment to the buildings to the roads and networks. Every week when we get these new videos, I'm still impressed with a lot of these views.
An important aspect of economic growth is balancing supply and demand. Businesses will do this automatically, exporting their goods when they produce more than the market wants. However, this can hit their bottom line as transport costs can reduce profitability. To keep the rate of production in line with demand, businesses will even fire employees. On the flip side, when products aren't made fast enough to meet local demand, companies in your city will be forced to buy from expensive outside connections, and that can quickly eat into profits too.
So, as she said, businesses will make decisions based on transportation costs and even fire employees to reduce headcount when their budgets call for it. I'm sure managing unemployment and even homelessness in line with this mechanic will be really interesting in the game, but that's where tax breaks and whatever other types of incentives might come into play to give you a level of control over that. So, I don't know, sounds really cool.
Taxes can also influence the production rate of specific goods. You can slow the rate of production by raising taxes, lower taxes to accelerate production rates and more similar manufacturers to your city. It's also possible to motivate businesses to specialize in ways that strengthen the economy. Imagine reducing taxes for furniture stores and the various industries that manufacture their products. That will make them more profitable. More businesses specializing in the design and manufacture of furniture will crop up. Before you know it, your city will have a flourishing furniture trade and a reputation that keeps cash flowing in.
Yeah, so that's all in line with the taxation and incentives thing we were just talking about, but I like the point she just made. We'll have the power to manage these things on such a micro level that we can build cities specializing in certain types of production. Like she used furniture for this example, but I imagine that will carry over to basically anything. Like maybe we can specialize in vehicle production and have like a bit of a Detroit vibe going on, or specialize in financial services to turn our city into a financial powerhouse like a New York or a London, those types of things. And I think that's really cool and offers a ton of opportunity for unique city builds anytime we start building something new. Even going back to build on the same map you've already built on before, it just opens up opportunities for entirely unique builds every time around. And that is absolutely huge to me.
Managing and adjusting production chains is another way you can influence your city's economy. Overhauled in Cities Skylines 2, this adds a whole new dimension to city building. There's no need to micromanage every detail if you don't want to. But if you love a puzzle, there's almost no limit to how deep you can go. Starting from raw material extraction, you can get raw materials into the city by importing them or producing them locally. Opt for local production, and you'll need to establish a specialized industry area. There are 9 total. 4 are farms where you can raise livestock or grow either grain, vegetables, or cotton. Forests produce timber, though how much depends on the age of the forest. You can extract ore, stone, or coal from underground deposits. And lastly, you can drill for oil.
So this is mostly all familiar. I do like that they've incorporated specialized industry into the base game. I could still see them expanding on it massively with some type of industries DLC in the future, even if it isn't changing the mechanics of industry like the Cities Skylines 1 DLC did, but just adding different industries and production chains that we can use and incorporate into our cities. Generally, it's going to be really exciting to see what any DLCs bring, since a lot of the stuff that had to come via DLC in Cities 1 is now just built into the base game of Cities 2. So that makes any potential DLCs even more exciting, because it's going to bring new things. It's not going to be just a new take on the same old things we had added in Cities 1, necessarily.
You'll manage all this activity via the Economy panel. It puts your city's finances at a glance and allows you to monitor and adjust production outputs for various goods and materials. With integrated tools and clear displays, the Economy panel is a user-friendly way to manage and grow your economy.
Again, most of this is familiar, but one thing that is interesting to me here is taxing people based on their education level. I guess that's the game's way of taxing income levels, as maybe incomes are directly related to education levels, unlike in the real world. That's fine, I think, but it might have made more sense initially to break it down based on income level alone and have those vary differently. But I don't know, I might be overthinking it or reading into it or assuming it works in a way that it doesn't. But that's what it looks like on the surface anyway, and thought that was worth mentioning. But we'll just have to see how it all actually plays out once we get the game.
So, if money really does make the world turn, how will you grow your city's economy so everyone in it can enjoy the ride?
And it looks like that beautiful shot right there at the end has brought us to the end of the Economy and Production Featured Highlights video. For the most part, as has been the case with most of these videos, I like what I'm seeing. I have a few questions and concerns, like we just talked about with taxing education levels, kind of weird. But I'm really excited about a lot of things as well, like being able to really hone in and focus on specific industries and have a specialization for the entire city. There's definitely a lot to get into with all of this, but we'll get into it a bit more in our deep dive video later in the week, and of course, in just over 2 months when the game finally actually releases. But with that said, I want to hear what everybody else is thinking. Overall, are you guys happy with what we know now about Economy and Production in Cities Skylines 2? And if you're still here with us at this point in the video, please leave a comment and let us know whether you are more into the design side of city builders, like myself, or more into the management and simulation side, which is obviously what we're getting a bit more of in this video here. But either way, please either say design or management in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear everybody's answers. And now lastly, I truly appreciate you hanging out with me today and want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and to hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video or found it informative. And if you didn't enjoy the video, feel free to leave a dislike as well, of course. But with all that said, I want to thank you again, and I hope you all have a great day.